Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. Couple of things to cover here, but let's jump straight in with this Avatar action figure news. So we have a new picture of both the Wave 3 Ozai and Wave 3 Toph, which are together Series 3 of the action figures. So these are going to be coming out in January. So yeah, let's just get straight into the picture here. Ozai, I don't think there's too much to say. He looks very, very similar to the way he did in the initial images we saw a bunch of months ago. And I don't think anyone really had a problem with him. I think most people agreed he was like the best looking of pretty much most of the figures in the display that they had there. Toph was definitely where there was more of a problem, because in the early pictures, her head just seemed off. Too big, just not shaped correctly. And from what I've seen, like the impression is that it's improved, definitely. Is it fully, fixed maybe the exact way we want it? Unsure. It still feels maybe a little bit too big, but definitely not as bad as it did before. Now, the only other thing to mention here is that the description mentions that they come with alternate hands and element bending accessories, but that just seems like a general description for every single one of these figures. It's not specific at all about what you do or don't get with each of them. And the picture doesn't say anything. So if we take a look at Toph as she looked before from the initial picture, it seems like she's going to come with the Earth Rumble belt and this kind of ground bending effect part, which seems pretty cool. But yeah, you can see the head here. I suppose it's kind of tricky to do the exact comparison, but just going back and forth between them a bit. I think the thing that at least I noticed, and maybe it doesn't come across just because of the angle this picture is at, is just that it feels like the chin and sort of the lower part of her face all just sort of protrudes out a little bit more, which helped to add to the idea of just like her head felt a little bit sort of like almost misshapen, whereas it feels a little bit more round, which in general is the shape of Toph's face, whereas this one was kind of more sort of almost like egg shaped in a way. I think that it still maybe slightly has the problem of just in general it feels maybe about 10% bigger than it needs to be. Just because if you look at screenshots of Toph and do sort of the width of her face compared to the width of her shoulders, obviously it varies a bit because it's animation, but typically this seems like it's on the bigger end of how big her head is compared to her shoulders and stuff like that. And you get it, she's a small character and so on, but compare how wide Ozai's shoulders are compared to his head, compared to Toph's, and there's a tiny gap for Toph and not much for Ozai. The other thing is definitely in this wave is that the two figures are one's half the size of the other one, and Ozai is going to be using so much more plastic, and he's also the first time we're going to see, I suppose, a figure at the full size of this line, and that Ozai is going to be a full-on 6-inch figure. So this will be the joints at their biggest size, so realistically he should probably have the best articulation of everyone, but as you can see, he still has the really bad elbows. Those elbows aren't going to bend more than that. Already on this arm here, it looks like that's the max bend you're going to get out of them. And then similarly with the elbows, which have always been a problem with these figures, the way Toph's outfit is designed here, of course, which is accurate, is not going to allow for much elbow motion, so just be aware of that. But yeah, other than that, they do look very nice. So yeah, like I said, those look to be maybe potentially the effect parts you get with Toph, but we don't know what the deal is with regard to is there an exclusive version and a normal version and what's going on here or there. What else do we have here? Yeah, Ozai. It looks like the effect part that he's going to come with is a kind of blasting fire out of his feet. Fire flying kind of type thing, at least for one of his feet here. The right one, you can put that on to give it the effect of him sort of flying across the ground. And then I suppose the implication probably is that maybe he comes with just some other effect part. I'd like to see him come with some sort of a actual fire blast coming out of his hands, because it would be a little bit bad if that's all he came with. It's just Ozai and this foot effect part. So yeah, that's the situation with Series 3. You may be wondering, wait, is Series 2 out yet? It's saying it's going to ship August, which we're in. So I guess that means the next couple of weeks. I've seen some places say August, some places say September, some places say September. Obviously, with the delays that we've had, it's kind of tricky to fully place it all and so on. But that does seem to be the way things are. So yeah, Series 2 is obviously Book 1 Aang and Azula. Again, we don't know the exact specific effect parts that we're going to get, but it looks like from the picture that Aang will come with his glider and Azula will come with a... Is that meant to be... I think that's meant to just be blue fire rather than lightning. But anyway. And then we assume they're going to come with a stand as well. Because they specifically mention Aang includes his glider, which I suppose is the whole idea of like they're doing a kind of redo of a figure already, so they have to make up for it with a big effect part that fits. And it also seems like the wave in general is maybe like a little bit more expensive, because you can see this is selling for like 44, this is selling for 49, I guess because of the bigger effect part. And then yeah, like we said, this is wave 3. Wave 4 we know the makeup of as well. Let me find out who's in it. So yeah, we're going to have Sokka in wave 4. Again, really hope they fix the face here. Arguably, it's a bigger job to fix the Sokka face than the Toph one, because it was mainly just like some slight changes. With Sokka, it just feels like a different character here that they're going for. Like, that does not look like a Sokka expression. They need to fix that and just do like, can we have his eyes be a little bit bigger and like more, accurate to the show? Can we have him doing an expression that like comes across as very clearly Sokka? Because otherwise the figure does look good. And then, yeah. The other one here is this Sozin's Comet Aang, which would be, I suppose, be the counterpart to the Ozai. Now, by the looks of things, they're giving Aang his new glider in the back as well, as this pretty cool, 4 elements effect part, because they can't give him the full giant circle. That would be the biggest effect part in the world. But you can see what they're going for here. Now, ignore what it says here. This was before they decided that they were going to split everything up. The way that they actually did. So Series 3 is not actually these 3 figures, it's different characters. It's obviously Ozai and Toph. But yeah, that's what we have. So the big thing here is like, oh wow, Aang in every wave so far, basically, apart from the Toph Ozai wave. What's next? So obviously the hope would be that like, oh yeah, you have to do Suki at some point. That makes complete sense. Iroh you'll probably want to do at some point as well. Book 3 Katara would be an option. I suppose potentially Book 1 Zuko, but I actually don't know how much of a demand there would be from fans for kind of the design for Zuko. People don't like the least, I suppose. Sokka in his armor would be a good shout for the next Sokka kind of redo. And then other than that, like Mei, Ty Lee, definitely characters you want to do. And I think after that you probably are getting into like Avatar Kyoshi, Avatar Roku, and maybe other unique bending characters like King Boomy and so on. Jet I think makes obviously for a good action figure, but we'll see where they go with this. But they will be quickly running out of main characters, so it will be interesting to see by the time we get to like wave wave 5, whenever they announce it, and 6, what they're going for here. Next piece of news is this. So we got the reveal a few days ago about the new cover for the Lost Adventures Team Avatar Tales Library Edition. I think the Dark Horse website, which I went off for the last news video, had the information wrong and only recently updated it. The artist for this cover is actually Chan Chow here, not the artist for the Team Avatar Tales cover. So it is a different artist for the cover, just to be aware of that. And then the other thing would be, yeah, what she says here, with some extras as well. So we didn't know this before, that this book is going to come with extras, but it's like 312 pages, I think is what it's listed at. And if you calculate the amount of pages that are in Team Avatar Tales plus The Lost Adventures, it technically comes to like 312, give or take. But there's clearly not going to be like an exact reprint, because The Lost Adventures features like 10 pages of preview for the art book for Avatar, so they're not going to be in this. So it leaves about 10, 12 open pages for extras, which I'm guessing are just going to be Team Avatar Tales sort of concept art stuff, because I don't know if like 10 years on, if they're going to have like material from the Lost Adventures, which collects comics that are even older than the release of this book, and so on. So we'll see what that is, but it could be interesting. It just is nice to note that there is new stuff in this, for sure. And then after this, I'll just get into like what is the upcoming release schedule of content, because this is where it kind of comes across that like it's still pretty light on stuff. So on the Korra side of things, obviously Runes of the Empire Part 3 came out in February. That was the last new piece of story content that we got. It's only a couple of weeks away until Runes of the Empire Library Edition, for anyone wondering. So 22nd of September or September 9th, I believe, for comic book stores. So really not too far away at all from this. I have this ordered. I will be doing a review of it when it comes out. So yeah, Runes of the Empire Library Edition coming up pretty shortly. It's going to have some extras in it, of course. No annotations though. That should be good. So yeah, that's that. And then it's just the reprint of the Book 1 Air art book, which we now know is going to be getting a deluxe edition, and that likely will get a new cover for it also. And we'll find out about the deluxe edition, and it'll probably come with a slipcase and all this other stuff. So, there's stuff to look forward to with regards to that, because I know some of the art books are kind of hard to find. So this is actually like a decent release that is happening. But I think it's more of the Book 4 balance art book that people are really, really wanting. Either way, that's all there is for Korra comics, and this is where I'll bring up this. So from an interview at Newsarama that she did, this is the key piece. They asked her, what future plans do you have for Legend of Korra comics? And she said in this interview, we're not quite ready to share specific news yet, but I think fans of both Avatar and Korra will be quite pleased with what we're cooking up. We have several fun new projects in the works that will not only expand our publishing line, but will introduce new formats and approaches to these beloved franchises. So that is why, like I've been saying, that we are waiting for a new Korra comic to be announced. Like one is incoming, basically, is because they did say that there is new Korra stuff coming, and that the new formats and approaches would affect both Avatar and Korra. On the Korra side of things, we really haven't seen the effect of that. Like, unless she's directly referring to the idea of the art book stuff here for Avatar. But I believe at the time, like, we didn't even know about the deluxe edition or anything like that. So we just thought it was a reprint. So I don't really think this is what she was referring to. So where is the announcement for the next Korra comic coming? Because I don't know if it just means that, like, what if there is a new Korra comic, that it's not going to hit until after February 2021. That's a huge wait. That's basically a year. Are we actually going to get a year off from February 2020 to like after February 2021? That'd be a really tough break, given that like Runes of the Empire really got us back on track after Turf Wars wasn't quite what we wanted. On the Avatar side of things, obviously there's a lot more books if we go to where the new stuff starts. Okay, so yeah, the Shadow of Kyoshi was the last release. Yeah, Katara and the Pirate Silver is still like about 1.5 months away, but it's new content. It's going to be exciting when it actually hits, but there's not a lot of like build-up hype necessarily for it. It's more of just like, yeah, sure, I'll read that. That's the reaction to it. Search Omnibus is actually, I think, going to be a very big release, just because the books are very hard to find these days. I know they keep coming like in and out of stock, but there is such a demand, and especially now that Korra has spiked it again, this one especially is going to be a pretty notable book. And given what happened with the Promise Omnibus, anyone looking to get the Search, make sure you have your copy of this book pre-ordered, because you might not be able to get it, or you might be delayed in getting it if you don't have a pre-order in. But yeah, that's coming out just shortly after Katara and the Pirate Silver. Then we have this book, which we already covered a little bit in this video, which is out just a few weeks after that. And again, this is going to be cool because, even though it is another reprint book, like, it is going to have some extras in it, and then it will be our first time getting to see all of these stories. Both the newer ones from Team Avatar Tales and the older ones here, like Going Home Again, at a bigger size, at the full-on hardcover size. That is quite notable. And then pretty shortly after that, we're going to get into the whole new art book situation. We'll find out whatever the new content is, and here my guess is that it's related to the comics, because Gene Yang is doing the intro. And I think specifically it's going to be very interesting to see just how this all feels in person. That's why, like, I have this pre-ordered. I'll be doing a review of it when it arrives, and going in depth on, I suppose, just how is this different than just like a normal hardcover and then materials and so on. So that's that. Then of course we have our kind of most recently announced book, Toph Beifong's Metal Bending Academy, coming out in February 2021. That's fine. I think people obviously are a lot more excited about this book now because, you know, we know that like Chong and the Nomads are going to be in it. We're going to go back to Earth Rumble and stuff like that. And it definitely seems like there's a bit more going on in it now, but it's still just a one-shot book. Rift Omnibus, we're still waiting for the new cover, but that's going to be again February 2021. I am excited to see the cover though. I do really want to see what it's like and who they choose to be on it. I think, you know, Toph has to be front and center, but the new Girihuru art is always great to see. And then the furthest thing out is this Rise of Kyoshi paperback is out on the 6th of July 2021. So this was hugely delayed for no reason that I can think of. But anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting one in that, like, we're arguably in one of the most exciting times for Avatar we've had in quite a while with regards to the popularity of both series because of their returns to Netflix and more people excited and grabbing the books and so on. But the new content is not the most exciting. They're reprinting a lot of stuff, which is great. But the new stuff right now is the Toph book and the Katara book. Everything else is a reprint of some sort, with just maybe some extras or new pages in those cases. But yeah, the main thing to note here is just that the Korra side of things is very light. It's just 2 books, and in a couple of weeks, it'll just be 1 book on the horizon. And again, we know there is stuff coming. Because look how different those release lineups are. And I don't think she was just talking about like, oh, we're going to announce the reprint for all of the art books. Have they introduced full-on new formats, plural, and approaches? Yeah, I suppose we've seen it with the one-shots. That's interesting. You could say the deluxe edition is a new thing as well. But outside of that, you know, that doesn't feel like multiple formats and multiple approaches. That just feels like kind of one of each in a way. So that's why I'm saying like there's definitely more to come. It's just about like where is this coming into play? And obviously we should be in a slightly better position now because Mike and Brian aren't working on the Netflix show. But it might take us a bunch of months to see the benefit of them having more time to be involved in the franchise as we go forward. So that's the other thing there of like, you know, we might be seeing just sort of this kind of tail end of the books that were sort of impacted with them still working on that show, and now we're kind of coming out of that. But again, like, it's just like we have no teases whatsoever really for the new Korra comic in terms of like, you know, creators or anything like that. So, you know, it's an interesting situation. But yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the news here. So the action figure news, thoughts on what the extras in this book is going to be, and then just, you know, what we did there, just the analysis of like the upcoming sort of publishing schedule, the fact that it's kind of light on new content, and especially the Korra side of things is very light. What are your thoughts on what will happen up next? But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.